guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to share with you what I like to call my Bananas Foster's upside down cake. It is so good. It is like banana bread, which I love, kicked up a notch. So it kind of tastes like a banana bread with that caramely, delicious, sticky, amazing caramel sauce and banana. It's to die for, but it's so easy and simple. Let me take you over the ingredients really quickly because you're gonna need just basic ones, but all together are gonna make for the perfect recipe. All-purpose flour, salt, baking powder, granulated sugar, brown sugar, mashed bananas, unsalted butter that's been softened, eggs, milk, vanilla extract, bananas of course, and then back here I've got cinnamon, more butter, and some brown sugar. That's kind of to make the caramel. So let's get started on working on that. But the first thing you want to do is get your oven preheated to 350. In my saucepan, so complicated, butter and brown sugar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this on the stove and cook this until the butter and the brown sugar sort of melt together and the brown sugar has kind of dissolved a bit. So while that's happening, we can get started on making the batter for the cake. I'm going to cut the bananas last minute because I don't want them to turn brown because they do turn brown quite quickly. So I'm going to do this in just a bowl with a wooden spoon, a whisk, a spatula, basic stuff. Let's get started right away. I've got my unsalted butter that's been softened at room temperature. And to that, I am going to add both kinds of sugar. And I'm just going to work this with my spatula just to get them combined. I'm not going to be able to use a whisk just yet because it's just too thick. There's just not enough liquid to get it going. Trying to get all of that off. Just got it all incorporated. Okay, I'm going to add in my eggs. And along with the eggs, I'm going to add in a splash of vanilla. I'm going to also add a splash of vanilla in my caramel in just a second. And my mashed up bananas. Now when bananas start coloring a little bit and getting bruised, that's when you want to make this type of cake. And now I'm just going to switch to a whisk and just mix everything together. Keep an eye on my butter and brown sugar. Oops, there's an eggshell in there. Got it out. Keep my eye on everything and then we'll proceed. Add in the flour. You might not even need the milk. Depending on how big your bananas are, you may not need the milk, but I think I'm going to need about a 1/4 cup or so just to get this going so it's a little bit lighter and not as dense as a banana bread, but really, there's no way this wouldn't be good. I mean, you can make muffins out of this, you can make anything out of this and it would be divine. So just give that a go. Perfect. Okay, moving back to my caramel. That looks fantastic. To that, I need to add my cinnamon. I just turned it off, by the way. And my vanilla. Now, traditionally, when you make Bananas Foster's, I don't need to tell you, you add a good splash of rum, you flambe it, it's fabulous, it's show-stopping, people love it, but I wanted to make this without just so that you knew that you could make it without, and plus, you don't have to worry about the danger of lighting your house on fire. That's all. Almost burned my kitchen down once. But you know what? I won't just tell anybody. Not saying another word. Okay. I've got my 9-inch cake pan that I've just sprayed with a nonstick spray. Get this all out of here. You don't have to worry about getting it perfect because once we start adding the bananas and once it bakes and everything, oh, it smells so good. I shouldn't get this excited because it smells like fall, but you know fall is my favorite season, so I'm going with it. All right, I'm going to clean up just a bit. My batter is done. This is all set. I'm going to slice my bananas and then we're going to build, bake, cool, eat, flip, all that fun jazz. Jazz hands. Almost punched myself in the face. I'm done. Okay, you can see my bananas are perfectly lined up. You want to make sure you don't cut them too thin, otherwise they can kind of fall apart a little bit. So you want them to be about a 1/2 inch thick. All right, then you take your batter, you pour this gorgeousness over top. I told you, this is really easy, but trust me, it is just spectacular once it's all done. You just flatten it out like so. I like to tap it a little bit so that the batter will just sort of sink into those little open spaces in between the banana slices. Tap it like that. into your oven for about 30 minutes or so, or until it's completely cooked through, and then you let it cool for exactly 5 minutes, but I'll show you what that looks like when we get there. So put this on a baking sheet so it makes it easy for you to get it in and out of the oven, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. My cake was in the oven for about 35 minutes or so. I've let it cool for exactly 5 minutes. I want you to see around here the baking sheet, which is why it's important you put your cake on a baking sheet, because if anything were to spill over, it'll catch on that and not in your oven. So now, after 5 minutes, you take a pie plate or any kind of serving dish. It's got to be one that's a little bit, sort of has like an edge on it so that all the caramel and stuff won't kind of spill all over the place. Tap this on. Don't worry if you get stuff dirty. Beauty of cooking. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Isn't that from like The Price is Right? This is right. This is my price for a hard, long week, okay? It's right. However, I can't cut into this just yet because it's piping hot. So what you need to do, first of all, my house right now smells like fall, like baking goodness. It is divine. Now what you need to do is you need to let this cool for about a half hour to an hour or so, or until it has cooled quite a bit, so that way it's not going to fall apart when you cut into it. So I'm going to let it cool, and then we are going to slice and serve. My cake cooled for a little over an hour or so, but it's still warm, which is, you really should eat it while it's just still slightly warm, because it is just, oh, and the smell is incredible. So you know I'm going to go in for a slice because I can't help myself. That caramel is just like adhering to the top, oh, so beautifully. This should be really nice and dense and squidgy. Oh, yes. Just the way I like it. That looks perfect. It's not going to be a super fluffy cake because it's not a regular, vanilla cake or anything like that. I'm going to go for this because I'm that obnoxious person that wants just the caramel topping, but I'm going to just go for that piece right there. Wow. That is so amazing. I don't want that. I want the piece with the big banana on it. I'm just striking this apart. Look at this. That is dense, full of banana flavor. That caramelized top is just added. It's like the cherry on a sundae. It is perfection. If you love banana bread, if you love banana anything, you'll love this recipe. Go to LauraInthekitchen.com to get the recipe. I hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I will see you next time. Bye!